All right, guys, and we're live. Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind. This is show 33, and boy, do we have a show for you this week. This is Dave's fault. So, Dave, how are you, sir?
It's a great day for wrestling, everyone. Welcome back to the only show hosted by fans that don't hate wrestling. I think.
Oh boy. So, I've actually figured out how to kind of set up events a little bit better so people aren't just in the blind to watch shows coming up. So, if you're joining us on Twitch, YouTube, all that kind of stuff, thank you very much. And you'll know that we're covering World War III from 1996, our first WCW pay-per-view. And I was watching it, and I'm like, why does Dave want me to watch this? When's it going to get good? And then it progressively gets worse and worse and worse. So we do have a lot to talk about, and this is all Dave's fault. So where do we want to start with this?
I mean, I don't know. Okay, listen. So I've been banned by the higher ups of ever picking a pay-per-view again. I think I at least
for about 6 months.
Probation.
For about 6 months.
About
6 months. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite matches of all time on it. And I shouldn't even say favorite matches. It has one of my favorite moments in wrestling of all time, which is Ultimo Dragon coming down to the ring with 8 titles. And I thought that would be enough to enjoy the pay-per-view. I forgot that that's the first match against Rey Mysterio Jr., which it is a really fun match. If you have the network, go watch just that match. It's good.
And he's defending all the belts as well.
Yes, all 8 are up.
all eight are up. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing I have seen in quite some time. So let's just start. Oh, no. We got to set us up. But literally, for anyone who's watching, he literally brings a rake of belts with him and defends all 8 of them. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But we will get to that. So the first, some background for this show. So this is World War III. And it was so
1996.
1996. Initially, I thought it was 1998. I'm glad we didn't go there. But it took place November 24th, 1996, from the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. Similar to the Royal Rumble format, the event was marked for the first time the winner of a three-ring battle royale for a future title shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So basically, the main event, the main concept of this is the Royal Rumble, but instead of having 1 ring, it's 3 rings. And yeah, it happens in November instead of January. So that's kind of like the build for it. It's and we will get to that because oh boy, is it! It's not good.
It's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
You love the tagline. 60 men, 3 rings, 1 battle royale, total destruction.
I like that. We're this one's like 60 men, 3 rings, 1 survivor. You do the math. What math? What are you talking about, WCW?
Doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, but we need to put some perspective too, because before we just completely rail on this show for what it was, this actually happens at an interesting time in the wrestling business because WCW was leading in the ratings during this time. I mean, this was the height of WCW in many respects.
And that's what I was actually going to say to you. This actually is the height of WCW. From 1995, 1996, 1997 to about end of 1997 into 1998. Pretty much as soon as the Montreal Screwjob happens, that's when the turn starts. But you can see why. Listen, I want to say something really controversial off the bat, can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Goldust is the most talented member of the Rhodes family and the only one who I can stand. I hate Dusty Rhodes.
Wow.
And I hate Cody
I'm
Rhodes.
with you. I'm not a big Cody fan.
I can't. He is the most annoying person on the planet on commentary. I'm like, please stop.
Well, you just don't know what he's saying half the time.
Please stop talking. But I love Tony Schiavone. Yeah. Mike Tenay was there, and I was like, oh my god, Mike Tenay, this is great. Really like Larry Zbyszko. Bobby Heenan was fantastic. But every time Dusty opened the mouth, it was like, please stop talking. Just stop talking.
Well, and I think it's worth noting that it gets a bit, I mean, this was 1996, but some of the commentary is a bit racist, for being perfectly frank.
It's not as bad as what King would do, where it's just horrendous. But a lot of it leaves there's a lot of insensitivity. Let's put it that way in
A lot of
commentary.
insensitivity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's literally not as bad as what King says, which he need. You know, we talk about it. We talk about it every time we do a show. It's like, I can't believe he said all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is WCW. You know, it was what it was. There's no outright racism in it. But
no, it's just
also,
that's the way they. It's the kind of jokes that were told during that time period. But I'm just like, oh, are these really the jokes you want to be making about your luchadors? I don't know if.
But to be fair, that was a thing that just happened in WCW.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it was of that time. The difference was King comes out and does outright racism, and you're just like, oh, you know, it's just like, right, it's not, you're not even like trying to hide it. It's just, here it is, or outright, you know.
I mean, on a plus, this show was much less misogynistic than most pay-per-views we've
Which
done
is
so far.
true. That's also really refreshing. You know, women don't get beaten up and aren't sexualized. And you know, it's just like it's nice, it's refreshing. And now I, you know, remembered why I like WCW so much as a kid, because I'm like, it feels completely different to WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it is bad.
No, it's terrible.
But it's not as terrible as WWE was at this time, which was horrifically bad.
Well, the funny thing is, WCW was just being WCW in Atlanta.
Yeah.
WWE was going for shock value, so it was kind of approached differently.
Yeah, but this was before they went into the Attitude Era. This was still 1996, so they were just, it was still the new generation WWE. So you had like the rise of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It was obviously after the Clique had left with the New World Order stuff, but you can see
New World Order. I'm just thinking this last match. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Well, the whole show, like you forget really how big the New World Order were, and then you watch the WCW show and you're like, oh yeah, man, they were just all over the show. And the funny thing about it is, this is when it was still kind of over. It hadn't reached peak yet. It hadn't reached saturation point where the whole show was just that. And it was still like, wow, NWO here. Like the whole show was pretty much just that and some new luchadors, you know.
It absolutely was, and it's a totally different mindset, and I love the way they do it. WWE's tried to do this with NXT, but it just doesn't, it's not the same thing. No. Where they make it out as if there is WCW the company, and there is NWO this faction, and this was still the time period where they were acting like they were competing against each other, even though they were under the same, you know, they are getting the checks from the same place, but well, actually, no, not technically, that's some of them. But the point is that we don't need to get into all that, but the point is that the show was very much we're WCW, this is our company, and you're the outsiders. And I do like that whole concept.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was that at this point now, it's gone beyond the outsiders, and it was where WCW and NWO. I think they're two separate companies.
Right.
You know, companies, organizations. Yeah. Organizations is a better way.
That's a much better way of putting it than what I said. Yeah.
Because that's initially what they wanted to do. They wanted you know, they wanted NWO Nitro to be a thing, and WCW Thunder. So that was the whole point of it. It's just, and then that's why they kept adding members, and eventually it just didn't fly. Because obviously in hindsight you're like, that's never gonna fly. But you know, at this point it could have. The show is terrible. But it's not. You know, it has merit. Like the matches, some of these matches were very good.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love to see a referee fight with his hand tied behind, or against an opponent with his hand tied around his back?
I was shocked how much Chris Jericho was over. Like even at this point, when they're doing everything they could to, like, you know, not bury their talent, just not show them. And Jericho comes out and is like, yeah, he's already a superstar, like in 1996.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love is that about WCW during this time period and even going forward, they always highlighted the smaller talents, which is kind of odd when you think about what we know about Kevin Nash and his opinions that he's shared over the years about them not being
vanilla midgets.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. You can quote
him. That's what he says. That's what he said. Yeah, that's his like term.
So he has that mentality, and yet, even though he is essentially booking a lot of this show, he
didn't book this.
96.
No, he wasn't booking this. This was still.
When did he start getting that? Super creative control.
That's when the wheels fell off. So that was like 1998, 1999.
All right. Well, still, he definitely had a lot of locker room sway politically, let's say.
Yeah.
And I do love the fact that if this show had happened in WWF, for example, Ultimo Dragon versus Rey Mysterio would have gotten like 5 minutes, and they give it almost 18 on this card, which is something that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to keep coming back to that one match as being a redemption point, because otherwise Derek's going to kill me.
What I will say about the show was, overall, you can see how a WWE show would be booked compared to this. Like as you said, Ultimate Dragon, Rey Mysterio 5 minutes. Jeff Jarrett versus Giant 15 minutes. Dean Malenko versus Psychosis on a dark match.
Oh yeah.
And then Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon in the whole show. And that's what would have happened. Now, for good or bad, that's how this show would have been booked relatively compared to what we've looked at in the Attitude Era, So the actual in-ring wrestling around this time, and that's why most people watched WCW, was because the actual product was so much better.
Oh yeah, the wrestling, generally speaking, the talent that they had is absurd.
Yeah, like when you think about it, like Rey Mysterio is just there hanging out,
and this is Ray's
peak.
Best. Oh my gosh,
he has 2 working knees. He's flying around the ring like you wouldn't believe. He doesn't have those stupid tattoos. It's great.
Just attacked his tattoos.
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh my gosh.
They're atrociously bad. They're not as bad as Jericho's ones, but they're up there. Jericho's ones just look unbelievably stupid. But yeah.
And blocked by Jericho.
It's fine. His band still has me blocked, and I don't know why.
They don't like the competition. That's what it is.
That's probably what it is. Actually, funny story. So when I reviewed them, my friends' bands were open for them, and because I found out they had blocked me, I just spent the entire review saying how good my friend's band was in the review. And it's like, yeah, good times. It was funny actually, in that venue that Jericho was playing in. It's like a dive bar in Dublin, literally. So it's like there's like 200 or 300 people there, but it's a dive bar, and like literally like the toilet is like 6 feet away from the stage. Not a good place to play. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to go there, but it is what it is.
They got booked, I guess.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's like didn't even want to shoot for the bigger venue. No, you went for the dive bar. Okay, and he wore the jacket though. That's what I was shocked by. He came out with the whole sparkly jacket and everything. It's like,
oh really?
Well,
the light up one or the
light up one? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, that stage is hella small, so fair play for committing to that. But
what year was this? This must have been like what?
This was like 2012, 14, 2013.
2014. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to dig it out and I'll post it in the group. I'll post it on the page.
Great.
If it's still there, I don't even know if the website's still up. But yeah, sometimes.
Hey, Darren, is there any wrestling news before we get into this pay-per-view?
Wrestling news.
Has anything happened this week?
Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah, right. So the ratings were down for Raw for like the worst ever ratings.
Okay.
Right. So what did they? So I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. Right.
Okay.
One of them is true. 2 of them aren't.
Okay.
This is a segment. This week on Dave Reacts to the News, we're going to have a guessing game. So of these 3 segments, Dave,
multiple choice.
Yeah. Which one did WWE actually do? Right. They brought out Shane McMahon, and he announced that there's a new faction of NXT guys to come up and challenge the main event. Right?
Okay. That's Shane McMahon scenario 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought back Stephanie McMahon, and she's now the authority figure over WWE as far as creatively on Raw and SmackDown. All right. Our number 3, Shane McMahon has an underground fighting league.
Okay, now this is going to be weird because I saw some memes this week. So I'm not sure if the memes were real or not. So the memes I saw pertain to number 3, but I refuse to accept that number 3 is what it is. So I'm going to go with number 1 out of pure hope.
No, it's number 3. It's number 3.
No, it can't be.
No, it is. It is.
Do we need to go re-review Brawl for All and let them know?
They literally brought back Brawl for All. Yeah. So that was it. Yeah, so that's
I need to understand this. Like, I knew he was coming back to us. So what's the concept behind this?
That's the concept. He has
an underground fighting league. What are the details? Like,
that's it. He has an underground fighting league where they just took the ropes down. They still do wrestling moves, so it's all worked.
Oh my God, why?
I don't know why, but that's basically what it is. And it's not even like it's the 3rd hour of Raw. it's weaved throughout the show, so it makes less sense. And now it's happening.
Wow.
And now the lads are like, oh, I want to be there. So they're like secretly going in and fighting. And at the same time, there's a new stable, which are basically much Antifa, and they petrobombed like a network
what
satellite.
is happening in the
I
world?
don't know what's happening. I'm so confused by what's going on in the show. They're just doing this stuff. You can't even make it up. So yeah, that's
okay.
that's
I
raw.
did think that was made up. Like I thought you were just. I thought you were telling me a Reddit rumor or something. This is true. This is really happening.
Well, they don't call themselves Antifa, but they're dressed in black, and they,
Well, no, I just mean the whole concept of this underground.
Oh yeah, no, that's real. No, that's real as well. So it's just like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we have Brawl for All back again, but they decided to fake it this time. It's like, I don't know, WWE, what you're doing, but you got to
keep doing it. Keep doing it. I've loved all your pay-per-views except for Extreme Rules so far. Keep doing it.
No, man. We've had
I want SummerSlam. I want Punk to come back in the underground fighting and just rule it all. Get his redemption from UFC.
But it's still fake. They're still doing wrestling moves. The Viking Raiders were in there. They're still just doing their spots. It's like, this doesn't work if you're doing spots. It's ridiculous.
Do you remember when, was it Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, or Kurt Angle and AJ Styles had an MMA fight during one of the lockdown pay-per-views?
In TNA?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, they kind of made it look like a shoot, but it was a work.
But this isn't good.
No, it's not. So I'm glad I set my DVR to record these things.
Yeah.
Go back and watch.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, because I don't watch Raw live now because I just don't want to put myself through that. But when I'd catch up on Tuesday or listen to Going in Raw or something like that, I'm like, wait, what? What happened? And then you go back to watch it and you're like, all of that's real. What? Who signed off on it? Well, no, I know who signed off on this, but you know what I mean? It's like, that crazy old man needs to stop, because this is not working.
I mean, I love anything Shane O'Mac, so I'm willing to give it a chance.
But they're not even using... Okay, right. Before we go to the show, right, let's just spend 10 minutes and play with this, right?
Yeah, let's play with it.
Let's play with it, right? That's one of your old phrases, which is hilarious.
It is, yeah. Surprisingly nice.
Exactly, yeah. Right. Here's how they can make it work, right? If they actually wanted to do it. Take a page from WCW. First two... Hold on. The first 2 hours of Raw are Raw, right? Normal show, fine. After 10 p.m., Raw Underground, right? Where you have like underused talent or whatever who want to go in, maybe have crossover talent, and book it like it's a different show. Like, it's not associated with anything. You know, it's kind of like a Fight Club thing. Shane McMahon is there, but he's not really involved as such. He might be the MC. But give it its own identity and just let it be its own thing. Because then people will be like, oh, actually, there's this really weird thing that happens on the third hour of Raw. And it's, you know, it's something that I actually suggested with Adam a couple of years ago when they went 3 hours, to do what they did in Nitro. Have like the first hour be your lucha stuff. So you and just have 205 Live be the first hour of Raw.
I thought that was the original concept for 205 Live. And then they just kind of sprinkled it throughout and it lost its
luster. See, the thing about it is, the issue of spreading it throughout the show, it doesn't give anyone anything to grip onto. It's just kind of like, oh, it's kind of a mess. But if you break it up and go, right, well, I don't like Raw so far, but I do like this show. Well, I'm going to watch this, and you'll pull in that third hour. So that's what I think they should do. I think that's a much better way forward. But whether they do it or not, probably not. This will only last about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll never hear about it again. So, but, you know, if WWE wanted to do that, that would be a much better way of doing it. Even rebrand it. So what? After the top of the second hour, it just does a little video package. You go straight into it, and you don't even have to have commentary. You could have commentary, but you don't have to. You know, it's just let it be its own thing. Even if you wanted to legitimize it more, bring in some MMA guys to kind of give it that presentation of, you know, like hire some ex-UFC guys to be your color commentators. You know, or even get Punk in, to do commentary for. Like, literally, just go with it. Don't go halfway. And by
go all in.
Yeah, just go all in and just be like, right, we're gonna make a run for it. Let's do it. But no, what they're doing, this won't fly. This will just fizzle out. But here's a weird thing for you, right? So going to this faction that they debuted. So this like burning down network thing. This was a debut.
Who's in this? Sorry, so who's
I don't know. I don't know. This is what I'm saying to you. They literally just have them dressed up like I thought it was the ninjas, but it's not. They're just kind of dressed up in balaclavas and look like they're about to go protest something. You know, and it's like, okay, you know, you're firebombing WWE. What message are you trying to send? To me,
WWE, you are always right there.
Yeah, I'm like,
doing
you know
things
what?
At socially appropriate times.
I'm like, lads, maybe you shouldn't. Just no. But that's what they're doing. There was, no, to be fair, there was talk that they're going to do a Nation of Domination, a heel Nation of Domination, which is like, oh, really
Careful.
don't do that.
Really don't do that.
Really don't do that. So it's just like, right, I suppose this is like the least worst thing they could have done out of that situation. But yeah, I've no idea who's in it. We don't know anything about it. It was literally a 1 minute segment in a 3-hour show that was never mentioned again. And they
maybe they were just testing it. I don't know. That's the only thing about this. They
leaked it by mistake.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, the Social Network team. Yeah, that's why they did it, because they're like, oh crap, we better put it on the show. So Dave, look, Raw's absolute mess. Absolutely.
I'm so glad I don't recap that show anymore. I can't tell you how much I love this podcast. There is good news though. Good news in the world of Vince McMahon. The Rock, along with some other people, have bought the XFL. It is not. Yes. It's not dying. So kudos there. I'm very excited about this.
Well, I'm just kind of glad that the XFL is still around now, because like it was kind of doing its own thing. It makes more sense for The Rock to own it, because it's like The Rock's show, I suppose. You know, it always kind of was.
Yeah, you can promote the heck out of it, and he's got enough to his name at this point that's going to get some eyes on it. And I mean, how convenient. I'm sure it wasn't a happenstance that a former wrestler bought it, but you know.
Yeah, he probably got it for pennies on the dollar as well, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
and I think for Vince, he's probably happy to see it at least go on, because again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't fail because of Vince. I mean, it was doing really well in the ratings. It was getting really great reviews. This was just, you know, times are weird right now, so it didn't succeed.
It was just the time of it, you know, when they were trying to like figure all this stuff out. And, you know, literally at a time when wrestling was doing good, it's still fine, but this isn't wrestling. And you had to furlough everything. So it was like furlough loads of talent as it was. So this thing was just an easy thing to cut off, I suppose. So, yeah, man, look, I'm happy that The Rock bought this. To be fair, when I saw the news, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. You know,
that's what I thought.
It's like, that makes sense. To be fair, it's kind of like, you know, if a wrestling company did go under, you'd expect like a wrestler to buy it. You know, that's what Jericho wanted to do for WCW. Actually wanted to buy WCW.
That's right.
Probably should have. But it was what it was. One more piece of news here before we go on, and one more story. Okay, you know, I listened to. I like The Observer a lot, and I like Figure 4.
So you're the one.
Well, I like the show. It's a good show. I don't agree. I don't agree with what they say, of course not. But not everything they say. But their takes on it are quite good when it comes to like the product, and they're comparing the product to like hardcore WCW. And I would say, yeah, maybe. Like I'll have to say this podcast would be a lot less fun if we were covering modern WWE compared to what we're doing now, which is so much more entertaining and, you know, maintains your sanity a lot more.
Yeah, that's like watching in World War III to keep your sanity.
But yeah, like I totally get where they're coming from, and their comparisons to WCW is probably apt. I don't know what's going to happen with WWE as far as their product, but they made record profits, so they're doing well.
I give them that.
But it's just like, you know, the ratings are through the floor, and they're doing this Fight Club thing and all that kind of stuff. But we will keep an eye on that because it's really entertaining. Apparently, SummerSlam's going to be on a boat.
What?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
No, it's not going to be on a boat.
That's what they're saying. Or an island.
It's not.
We don't know.
So are they really trying to just go all in and copy Dana White and UFC? Now they're going to have Wrestling Island over in the Middle East. Is that what we're going to get out of this?
Apparently, what they don't want is they don't want SummerSlam in the PC.
I don't blame them.
So whatever that means, and at the moment now it's a boat.
It's a boat.
Yeah.
Doesn't Jericho do a boat tour for AEW? What is happening in wrestling?
They're all copying each other, and it's all ridiculous. But yeah, so that's what's going on. But now let's get back to World War III.
Yeah, I was shocked that World War III happened in 1996. I've been waiting for it to kick off any day now, and apparently it's been going on for almost 2 decades and a half. So more power.
So at this point, there was Monday Nitro, Saturday Night, Worldwide, Pro, Prime, and Main Event. So they were like the series of shows that were actually on a part of this pay-per-view build. It wasn't just Nitro. One thing that was quite hilarious was the fact that Jeff Jarrett's was here randomly. Like,
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett's career is hilarious in the 90s because it's like, I'm going to go to WWE. WWE don't use me. I'm going to WCW. WCW messed me up. I'm going back to WWE. WWE don't use me. I'm going back to WCW. And then he ends up founding TNA. It's like, he's like, he's like the Cody Rhodes of the 90s. But I like Jeff Jarrett.
Bringing it full circle. You got to call that, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I just hate Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry. I just hate Cody Rhodes. He's a mid-carder for life, and he needs to accept that. Like, listen, you were great at Stardust. Go back to being Stardust.
Isn't that a shame? The one thing we like him as the best is the thing he hates the most.
Also, dashing Cody Rhodes was amazing too. That was phenomenal.
Yes,
we had the mask and stuff.
Mask, yeah.
He was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But
we're not saying he's a bad wrestler. He's not. No. We're not saying he's not an entertaining character. He certainly can be. Should he be the marquee star that makes you tune into a product?
No, he's not.
He's a mid-carder. Opinion.
That's the correct opinion. No, he's not. No, sorry. I just hate Cody Rhodes. I just want him to go away. Like, literally, it's the worst thing with AEW. It's like he shows up and like, oh, I have to stop watching the show now. It's like,
what you're getting. His matches have become almost paint by numbers, which is odd because he's trying to do the opposite of that. But it's all right. What Hall of Famers or legends are going to be here? What emotional angle are you going? Just rest. Why isn't Kenny Omega the face of this stupid company yet?
Right? Kenny Omega's just sitting there going, hey, guys. It's like you have Kenny Omega, you have the Bucks. There you go. There are guys who draw. And there are guys who deserve to be there.
Give me Moxley versus Omega every pay-per-view, every month, every year, I will watch it all.
I could do without another garbage ball between the two of them. They don't really need to do that again. But
no, I love that.
I love the two, but I don't want to see it again.
I want to see it so much that I'm going to a Deathmatch wrestling show this weekend. It's my first wrestling show of 2020. I'm so excited. Shout out to ICW. Man, it's going to be great. They have it over 2 days. By the time this goes out, there's no tickets, so don't even worry about it. But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing anyway. It's happening very close to where I live, so that's very exciting for me. They're actually doing it as like a camp out. So you can camp out Friday night and then Saturday night, and both nights there's shows. I think I'm just going to go up on Saturday. I'm going to watch Friday night online. But Saturday morning, it's fantastic. 10 a.m. we get breakfast with the wrestlers. 11 a.m. is a deathmatch weapons making workshop hosted by legends of deathmatch weapon makers. At 3 p.m. there's a Q&A with New Jack. And if you think I'm missing that, you're insane.
Oh my God. Listen, you have to record that. I need that audio. That's what has to happen.
I think we could do something. And then there's an official tailgate party pregame leading up to the show. And then 8 p.m. it is a deathmatch circus. There's going to be circus acts and freak show entertainers.
So basically, folks, watch our social media because Dave's going to be covering this live. So
I can't wait.
That's going to be unbelievable.
It's going to be absolutely great. And hopefully in a couple weeks we can get the owner on to talk about it because I'm really excited for I'm excited for the fact that getting to see wrestling live in person again is going to be
I can't believe you're going to go hang out with New Jack. Like that's scary, man. Like that's fair play.
The only thing I'm a little bit upset about is I ordered my AJ Styles mask like July 17th. Still hasn't, come on, WWE, ship it to me by now. What is going on?
There's no
excuse. I know you got to focus on the Underground Fight Club, but you printed out the label from FedEx almost 2 weeks ago now, and you've yet to actually put it in the mail. What is going on? I wanted to have my masks for this weekend. Now I won't.
You had to take all those people to maintain the Underground Fighting League.
Unbelievable.
Oh my god.
This is why you should use UPS instead of FedEx. What is going on?
I don't know.
But
I just try to use Amazon Prime for everything because it arrives.
Yeah, it actually arrives. I was like, oh, do I want to pay? That was the other thing. It was like, well, I'm not going to pay $15 in shipping to get it here in 2 days. I'm sure it'll get here within a week.
No, that was your mistake.
3. No, it's going to be like a month before I get it.
Yeah. Although, funny story actually. So at the beginning of this great sickness, I ordered two N95 masks.
If you guys can't tell, we're being very careful in how we allude to it because we don't want to get the DM going on. But
no, actually, what was a really good one? I heard there was a YouTube channel I watched and they were referring to it something good. What was it? The King Bug or something like that. And I was like, for a while, they just kept saying it. I'm like, oh, that's what that means. So yeah, we're just kind of being careful with how we're saying it. But I ordered two N95 masks from Amazon, and I was like, right, it's the beginning. This is like February. And I'm like, cool, they'll be here in like a couple of weeks. They said, right, it'll be here in July. I'm like, all right, whatever. No, sorry, it'll be here in like March. I'm like, all right, whatever. March comes, no sign. I'm like, okay, I guess it's just gonna take a while. April, no sign. And then I like hit my return, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, right, get my refund. And then randomly in July, they just arrive, and I'm like, what? So I don't know how that happened. So it's just like, all right, cheers.
Yeah, I have a couple of those because I'm going to Denver, not this week, next week. So for a 4-hour plane ride, you gotta wear something, and wearing the regular stuff would be awful because when I work, we have to wear them, and it's awful. So
get something you can breathe in. Yeah.
So
N95 masks are great for that. Yeah. They really are.
I'm actually looking forward to being able to breathe. That's,
as I said, I don't like wearing the normal masks because they are really hard to do anything in.
We're not anti. Can we make this clear so nobody freaks out at us? We're just saying they're uncomfortable and we're looking for better solutions.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. We're not Holland. We swear.
Listen, I've done my research, right? It's like I get an N95 mask because I can breathe in it because that's a filter, and I like them. A lot of people don't really mind, but for myself, I'm like, no, man, I kind of like to do because when I don't want to take it off, I just keep it on. With the N95 mask, like, you can pretty much wear it all day, and you realize I did an exam wearing one there on Friday. And when I went into the exam center, the girl was like, "Oh my god, where did you get that?" I'm like, "Amazon." She goes, "I can't breathe in this one." I'm like, "Right, get an N95, you're sorted." And they're not even expensive anymore. They're about like $30. I got mine for like 30, but do your research, you get it. But different people react different ways, I suppose. But yeah, we're not anti-mask by any stretch of imagination, guys. So do not think we're that. But I'm just saying, if you do struggle with it, face shields are good, but also the N95 is really good too. So there are options. There are a lot of options, and we advocate those as well. And hey, if there's any mask sponsors that want to sponsor us,
Fozzy has some great masks. They do.
Oh my god, poor Fozzy. Anyway, let's get back.
I'm so excited. Where have we gone on this tangent?
Let's get back to it. Right.
Let's get back to this. Okay.
The show opened up with
You're welcome, Ireland.
Ultimate Dragon versus Rey Mysterio. This was a 14-minute match.
I thought it was 17. 14 is what they.
13:48. So
okay. Now I love the graphics, and the people on commentary could not get together on what to call Ultimo Dragon.
Nope.
He was either Ultimate or Ultimo. Ring announcers calling him something different. Just really, really, really well done on the research there, guys.
I did love the fact he came out with all the belts, and I'm like, this is how Triple H should come out all the time.
Oh. There you go. We set him up for that, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought it was cool. I didn't even know where most of those belts are from. I'm like, did he just like grab a load of them, or I don't know. But it looked cool. It was the most interesting thing I've ever seen someone use all those belts with. I know that Dudley did something similar in TNA with all their tag belts, but that's less impressive than Ultimate Warrior with Ultimo Dragon with all his belts.
Yeah, when you need Sonny Ono to carry 2 of the belts himself because you can't hold all 8. I mean, that's just great.
Now, my favorite part of the match was when you were doing the presentation, showing Mysterio the belts. It's like the ref is like holding 3 of them, and then Sonny O is like, they're just kind of like so many of them. It's like, this is crazy. You should really just have one. I think that's what happened with the JKM Championship. They eventually just kind of consolidated it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I appreciate it. More belts. Everyone should have belts. It's great.
Why not?
Why not? You know,
Why
it's
not?
fine. It's fine.
But this is the match that made me a huge Ultimo Dragon fan. So
Great
much
match.
so that I
Very
was
good match.
very great match, and I was maybe the one person who was so happy for him at WrestleMania 20. We don't need to talk about the slip. We all know what happened. But for him, that was his last goal in professional wrestling. He says, I just want to have a match at a WrestleMania. And he got to do that. Yeah. And Paul London was in it. So, I mean, it fulfilled a lot of my fantasies.
Everyone had a good time. And that's the main thing. Nobody was hurt and everyone had a good time. And that's all you want. The next match, oh my God, that was Teddy Long. Right.
Yes, yes. You got to talk about that. Yeah.
I was just checking there because when I was watching it, I'm like, that guy with Jericho really looks like Teddy Long. But he also kind of doesn't. And now I'm just reading through Wikipedia and I'm like, wow, it was Teddy Long.
Oh, yeah. The graphic
What
was up
happened,
there.
Teddy Long? What happened? You aged horrifically. But, yeah, man.
I mean, this was 24 years ago, man. Like,
I know, but Jericho looks okay. Teddy Long doesn't.
Sure he does.
You know, except the worst thing about Jericho is that horrible tattoo he has there. It's like, what are you doing? Stop. Does he have friends? I'm concerned. It's like, there's something going on. Yeah, I'm like, man, listen, you know, you should have a mate going, bro, listen, you know, that's a bad tattoo. Just don't.
Okay, listen, if you work for AEW and you catch this show and we contact you for an interview, let me be the liaison, not Dara.
Yeah, that's fair.
I actually like you guys.
I like you guys too. It's just, you know, it needs to be said. Like, we rail WWE all the time too. To be fair, there's very nitpicky things to go for with AEW. The main one is just Cody Rhodes and tattoos. And that's it. Like, everything else is perfect. Just remove those two things and you're sorted. You know, do you have acids and stuff you can burn tattoos off, I think? Or lasers? Not too sure. I don't know how it works.
Wait, time out. Are you advocating that Jericho dips his arm in some acid?
To get rid of that horrible tattoo.
Yeah, what is happening?
Maybe, man. I don't know.
These are crazy times.
It's pretty awful.
This is what happens when we watch a really bad WCW.
This is such a bad show, and it's your fault. It's so bad.
We don't want to talk about
it. It's like I was sitting the whole time. I'm like, this show is so bad. Why does he want me to watch it? And it just got progressively worse and worse, but with some bright spots. And then it just got worse because because then you start WCW booking it, and it's like, what is this? So yeah,
that's why Russo killed WCW. No, it was already dead.
It was already gone beforehand. So yeah, Jericho defeated Nick Patrick with Teddy Long in his corner and one hand tied behind his back, and that's just. But straight away, I was like, this is ridiculous. But you know, I did like the way that Teddy Long is a referee and Nick Patrick is a referee, and I forgot how like much of a character Nick Patrick actually was. Like. In WCW, so when he came to WWE as a referee, I was kind of like, that's kind of weird. But now you're going back, it's like, yeah, he was really well involved. And this, of course, would go on to Sold Out as well, where he was involved and all that kind of good stuff. But we'll get to Sold Out. And you think this is a bad show? Oh man, have you seen Sold Out yet?
Sold Out, is that the one with the ladder match to get the taser?
No, it's the NWO exclusive pay-per-view.
Oh,
yeah, it's not. Good. It starts off with everybody driving garbage trucks to the ring.
I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah.
That sounds about as good as Slammiversary. I'm in.
Oh man. So okay, our next match.
You do get real TNA vibes, by the way, watching this show. Not in terms of production or anything like that. Just you see so much talent and people on commentary. Right? Yeah. And just like, oh, TNA. Now I see like kind of what happened there. It was an extension of some of the good parts of WCW.
That's what I always said it was. I always said TNA was an extension of good parts of WCW. And ECW with like less of a budget, and that's the magic of TNA. That's always what it was. AEW does the same thing. It's pretty much just modern day WCW, but with better booking and more of a budget. So that's it. Like you're watching this, and you're like, oh, I can actually see the lineage of these splinter groups after WCW. You know, it's just like wrestling repeats itself, and everything is kind of the same. If you wait long enough, you know, so it's interesting.
Every 20 years.
Every 20 years, exactly. So we're due to be seeing a lot of this stuff relatively soon.
I was going to say we might see something like this again, but we actually did see War Games.
We did see War Games, which I was so happy about.
I mean, we did get Ricochet's double backflip off the top of the cage. So,
well, I want to save discussion of the 60-man battle royale to the end because I have some comments on that. There was a squash match with the Giant versus Jeff Jarrett. So poor Jeff Jarrett. He came out with the worst team music he ever had, and he got murdered by the Giant. And that was it.
Wait, you're saying this theme music is worse than theme music he couldn't even remember the lyrics to at his Hall of Fame induction?
What my baby tonight? That's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant. I think that's great. My favorite Jeff Jarrett team music actually is late '90s WWE Jeff Jarrett music. Thought that was fantastic.
That's fair.
That's
back when I actually liked WWE
actually
music and would buy the CDs.
His TNA team was really good too. My World. That was really good too.
Oh yeah,
that was fantastic.
It had like country vibes to it, didn't it?
All of them have country vibes to it. Every single thing he had, have country vibes to it. It's his thing. Also, I don't think he carried a guitar out this time, did he?
No,
he did not. Okay, good.
No,
I think because it's. I'm always like, is the guitar brought out? I don't know. The other guitars he must have went through was unbelievable.
The budget for those
crazy. Harlem Heat defeated the amazing French Canadians. This was not a good match.
No, it wasn't.
It was not good, which sucks because Harlem Heat are a great tag team. They just had nothing to go with on this one, so it was a bit of a bust. Sister Jerry defeated Colonel Rob Parker by countout in a 1-minute match. Also terrible. It was kind of a follow-on from the first match. Dire. However, we had the second best match of the night, Dean Malenko versus Psychosis. Dean Malenko winning with a phenomenal exchange. And it really was an AJ Styles kind of finish. That beautiful pole driver into like a bridge pin. Oh,
yes.
Beautiful.
I am such a sucker for bridges.
Oh,
I really
it was
fantastic. It's
one
of my favorite things in wrestling.
Like that little sequence at the end where it was like Psychosis was going for a pole driver, and then Dean leaned back, put him into another pole driver, finished it, and then did like a hook bridge. It was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. This is like top tier wrestling that you won't see anywhere. And he didn't. And that's the thing. As garbage level as a lot of WCW was, it had these nuggets throughout the show where you're like, you will not see this anywhere else. And also, it was great to hear Tony Schiavone and his team were calling this one, but they made loads of references to Mike Tenay, who knew the names, because he was the professor, And right. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, they love Mike Tenay, and I'm just like, I love Mike Tenay too. It's brilliant.
I always enjoyed his voice.
It is great. I love the way he calls matches. I think it's brilliant, but super fun.
And while we're highlighting people on commentary or people with a mic, I mean, this is such a Mean Gene. Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, 100%.
This is his time period in WCW, and man, he just adds so much. There's something about him that just I'll always respect.
When you go further back, you get lots of people who you see in the WWE being underused. When you go forward, you see lots of guys in WWE who are in WWF coming to WCW and being used properly. Mean Gene is like case in point. I hated him in WWE. Loved him in WCW because all his time was like, with Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan turns my stomach. So the minute I see him, I'm like, I hate him. It's literally like it's worse than Cody Rhodes. Like, I hate Cody Rhodes. Sorry. It's just
dwell on that, guys.
Yeah.
There's retreated into his own brain, and he's on his cycle loop of I need more Triple H and I hate Cody Rhodes. I can't believe he came out with that sledgehammer and broke Triple H's throne.
That's the thing. It's like
the moment,
you've ruined it completely. Like any chance I could have given you is gone because of what you did. So it's just like,
we see, you know what? I feel like this is Restaurant Impossible. I just hit the nail on the head. I figured out what was really holding the restaurant back. That's what just happened. That's the brain cycle I need to understand from there. Okay, fair enough.
No, see, it's like when Cena beat Triple H when I was at the house show. That just made me hate him completely, irrationally. When I'm so angry now, I can't remember his name. Help me. When Cody did that, I was just like, no, we're done. There's no way. Anyway, so look, I'm going to admit, the next match I skipped because the Nasty Boys are in it, and I'm like, I'm not going to sit through.
Wise choice.
Was it as bad as I thought it was? Because
it's worse, man.
Oh man, of course it is. No one in there can work, so it's like.
Well, you know how in triple threat matches, well, that's not true. I mean, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash can go during that.
When they did, sorry, they can, but they don't want to. And at this point, they just didn't want to, so they didn't. They just showed up and did stuff and had fun, and that was great. But in a match, oh no, you don't watch the Kevin Nash match or Scott Hall match around this time period. You just do not do it.
Yeah, especially what we know now in terms of having read their books or reading shoot interviews. We know what was going on behind the scenes in terms of the kind of things that they were doing backstage. Am I being vague enough? I'm being vague enough. Y'all know what I'm saying. So it always makes me wonder when I see like little extra sparkle in X-Pac or Six or whatever the hell his name is. I'm like, oh, okay, this is one of those shows. I get it. All right.
He's having a good time.
He's having a great magical time.
He's having a great time.
Great time. But you know how in three, because since you skipped this, you know in three different like tag matches, you can only have two people fight at one time instead of it being a triple threat the whole time, which I've never understood. You know that, like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I really hate when there's a three-way tag match and there's 6 men in the ring. So instead of squaring off 2x2, it's a three-way match.
Yeah. So Scott Hall and Kevin Nash both get tagged in at the same time.
Of course they do.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. That's what happens.
And the commentator's like, oh, what are they going to do? Are they going to fight each other? And then they actually start to fight each other instead of just laying down, which, you know, the finger poke of doom is, you know, synonymous with these guys. But
dumbest thing.
They go for a legitimate pin, and then one of the other teams comes in and makes the save, and then it ends. But it was I think Hall hit Knobs with the megaphone or something like that, because of course Hart was out there with the Nasty Boys, and I don't.
That's another thing as well. The minute Hart shows up, I'm like, oh, you know, it's just I just have like a instinctive like gag reflex where I'm like, oh, you know, I can't do it. So the minute I see them, I'm like, yeah, this is a match I'm not going to watch. And you know what? I'm really happy that I did not watch that match, because it's everything I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it was.
And more. So it's like, okay. Oh, gee. Well,
I this is the match that first time I tried to watch this through, I fell asleep, and I woke up during this. I was like, what is going on? So I had to go back, and I don't know why we picked this pay-per-view. Very, very odd choice there.
So the Outsiders won and retained their WCW Tag Championships, which they held for ages. Literally, like years. We're just the tag team champions all the time for no reason. Right, but here's where the show really falls apart.
I mean, this is where it gets fantastic.
It does get fantastic, but it's also like I can see why they didn't do it. Why they didn't bring it to WWE, right? Because you have 3 rings, and 20 men are limited to. I wish I had had the graphics to use having TNA where they explain the match, because that would be fun. But I didn't think ahead.
Where they need that many rules.
Yeah, there's a lot of in TNA. Like, I loved when they'd have the King of the Mountain match. They'd just be like all the rules to explain it. Okay, so
like this is what Vince Russo wrote down, guys. We're talking about TNA. So here you go. We kind of need that for this. This was
so. All right, so here's how this match worked. Right, so 3 rings, as you can see behind Dave, 20 men per ring, and basically once there was enough survivors, let's say, they all merged into one ring. Basically, that's kind of how it worked.
What a mass of humanity walking down to the ring.
But the actual involvement itself isn't too bad. Like, you know, because we've seen 40-man Royal Rumbles and stuff. The problem I found...
This is a Battle Royale, not a Royal Rumble. By the way, guys, just so you know, everybody started in the ring at the same time. So you literally see... Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine if every 90 seconds to get to 60
it would just never stop. So that's the main difference. Everyone starts in the ring at the same time.
Yeah.
But here's the problem I had with it. Just purely from a fan perspective. Watching it was very hard to do. And it wasn't because it was boring. It's like those little screens were not enough. Now, it's probably the only way they could have done it, because there's no other way you could really do it. Except for now. Now you could do it now, but you'd have to do somewhere where you can pick where you want to watch it. So you have like 4 or 5 cameras. So where you watch it on 4 or 5 views, rather, you can pick what one you can actually do on the network. It's the way they do football over here, where you can pick what player you want to follow and stuff like that. So maybe WWE could do that.
I thought about this because
that's how you could do it. Maybe
obviously, you know, we live in 2020 where we can actually see things, because most of us have large TVs, just because they're not expensive at this point.
No,
and I was thinking, but this is back before HDTV, all that stuff. Like, you're watching a tube television So trying to see grainy 3 boxes showing what's happening in the 3 rings at the same time, it must have been torture to watch. You must have had no idea what was going on.
Well, I was watching this I wasn't watching on the BT, I was watching on the monitor here. It's only 22 inches. And it's the HD monitor, obviously watching on the network. But even with that said, it's still very, very hard to watch.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're like, what's going on? And to be fair, I like the way they had.
No, I was saying if you were to do it nowadays,
yeah,
it would be a lot more clear.
Exactly.
But I'm just trying to put myself back into 1996 technology and what it would have been like to watch it then.
But this is what I'm saying. So behind Dave's head there's the 3 commentary teams that you can see. So Dave, just scoot your head back a bit. There you go. So right there in the middle, in between the rings, there's the 3 commentary teams.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and each ring had its own commentary team. And I think that was a very good way of doing it, because they were covering eliminations as they were happening. But what they should have done, and obviously they probably couldn't do it because it was 1996, if they were to do it nowadays, do it the same way, but give people the option in the network to pick what ring they want to watch. So you could have 1 ring, 2 ring, 3 rings, and then like an overall view. And that's how I would do it if I was producing that, because I think that would be very cool, very
really impressive to see from a production standpoint.
And you could do it, and I was thinking even you could do it in the PC, because this is the setup they have in the PC. You could literally do it. Now, how many people can be in there? Like 50 people. So yeah, you might have to cut down, but you can still do it.
15 people ring.
15 people ring. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think this would be a cool idea to like do.
But please don't. Please do not. Please do not do this.
Totally do it. But if you're doing it, at least do it correctly and give people the opportunity to see a little bit better. Because, I think of all the times to do it now when it's already set up to do it.
That's true. I mean, my biggest gripe was the fact that you already have 60 men. You already have 3 rings. Why did you need to start with 8 people fighting outside of the ring?
That's what I hated. That's what I hated.
That's why I felt like a train wreck as soon as it started.
Yeah,
it was already too much to keep track of.
But the Dungeon of Doom sucked, and always did. The 4 Horsemen were just crippled with like terrible feuds, and this is one of them in WCW. So it's like I hated that. That was the bit where I'm like, this is already too much. You're trying to watch the 2 little bits here and here, but then when you're here and here, but then when you're going over and you're watching through the ring, you're like, I don't know what to follow. I don't know what to follow.
Because you're fighting up in the crowd, so really you need like 4 cameras on the TV at once to cover what's going on.
And it's just too much, So I think it's a good idea. It was just executed really badly, and the finish was ridiculous. And it wasn't ridiculous because of who won. It was ridiculous because it had no stakes. It was another WCW win where the Giant would pick up the win and then go on to face Hogan and all that kind of stuff. But it was just, it didn't have that big feel to it. What they should have done, they should have put the belt up on the line. But no way Hogan would be involved with this, and that was the problem. So, if you were going to do this in a 2020 world, I think it'd be a very cool thing to do, honestly. But you'd have to really kind of take stock. And my fear, if they did this nowadays, WWE wouldn't know how to take stock, and it'd be even worse than it was in this. So it's just like,
so let's just think about this. What if instead of just having 60 random people in 3 groups, 20, what if you made it where
brands,
one of them, you could do brands?
That's what I do. You could do Raw, SmackDown, and NXT,
or make it even more segmented and have one be all cruiserweights, and the next one's all big guys, and the third one's all like middleweights.
That's cool.
And the 3 winners each fight each other at the end, and it's a pinfall thing, and we'll see which style of wrestling truly wins out, or something like that.
Here's the thing, right? So WWE is struggling now to find stuff for the win, right? Here's what I do, right? Tournaments. We get all the way up, right? So you have your tournament for it. To make stuff actually mean things, segment it out. Have your tournament, a month-long tournament, a 3-week tournament on Raw, NXT, SmackDown. The winners of that get to go in, and then have each ring, and then the final one, as you said, be a pinfall or whatever. That's a cool idea, and that would actually make sure that the shows actually mean something rather than just garbage. And it's long-term booking. You can have your whole year pretty much sorted out. Or we're in August now. you could do this where you lay the groundwork in August, or your blow off for SummerSlam, because obviously you need to go to SummerSlam, right? Start September, lay your groundwork in September, start doing your tournaments in October, have your tournament pay per view, King of the Ring or whatever, call it that in November, and then have your blow off in December. And there you go. I know Royal Rumble is like a month later, but this isn't Royal Rumble. This is something completely different. So,
It's very different.
Very different. It's not.
Look at us! Look at us saving a terrible show and saying, "Let's do this concept again."
You could totally do it. You just have to like think and use your brain. It's not hard. Like, it's just not hard. But there you go. And and the thing about it is, in this time when people need something consistent, something like that allows you to be consistent, but also builds towards something. If you have the end of year being this crazy World War III show, right? You can even just call it that because they own it. I think that would be cool. I mean, WWF World War III, 3 rings, 1 night. Boom. It's
3 rings, 1 night.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really bad plot for The Hangover Part 7.
I don't know, man. I'm not a marketing person, but it's just that in this time, that's what the takeaway from this.
Would there be 1 ring to rule them all at the end?
Actually, that's not bad either. Still from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it's I think WWE are missing a trick by not combing through some WCW stuff, because now they have the opportunity to kind of go a bit crazy and do something like this. Would this work outside of a Great Sickness world? No, of course not, because it's too hard. 3 rings, you're losing a lot of money, you're losing all this floor space. But now the fact that it's in the PC and it's just set up anyway, I just be like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just have a bit of a laugh. And then, you could even put the title up. Put the title up for grabs. Why not? I don't know. They can figure it out, but give them all something to do. Everyone would be doing things. Even have a special, Raw Underground representation or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but and with the close with Raw Underground, that's basically what we started with. I mean, what did I say back in June? I mean, this is the time period when WWE will try out really crazy, zany ideas just to see if they work. And if they don't, because ratings tend to be down during this time of the year. And apparently Raw Underground is what we got. And I'm really super excited to get updated on this.
Well, we'll see. And, maybe if it goes on, we'll do a comparison show between that and Brawl for All. We'll see. Right, well, that's going to do it, guys. If you're listening on Phoenix 92.5 FM, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back at the same time next week. Dave, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, follow me over on Instagram at the Dave Stevens. And if you're listening to the audio of this, you have no idea what you're missing out on. So
exactly.
Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. All the details over on nerdtoknowmedia.com. Of course, follow our social media. We have a special fan show coming up soon where someone actually sent in a submission. So thank you very much for that. We will be getting to that. We also
will do what you suggest. So if you have something you want us to cover, we'll cover it, because I'm currently banned from making suggestions.
Yeah, guys, if there's anything you want us to cover, you can email us, nerdtoknowmedia@gmail.com. You can go Twitter, leave a comment underneath this video. Even message the Nerd to Know Facebook page, which is what this person did. So we'll cover it no matter what it is. Like, we covered this show, so we'll do anything. And yeah, guys, so that's going to do it. Again, thank you to the True Penny channel for having us on. nerdtoknowmedia.com is where you can go over and check out every single one of our shows. We're live every Tuesday normally, but obviously we're doing it on Wednesday for a bit. But if there's ever any kind of schedule changes like that, we will let you know on social media. And of course, if you're joining us on YouTube, there will be a notification when we go live. So click the bell. And until then, guys, we will talk to you next week here on the Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.
Bye.